Gino undoubtedly regretted his decision to marry Jasmine. She never gave him the happy married life he yearned for, nor a baby. Lauren had already made a lot of questionable choices even before his series debuted. He seemed to be running away from something because of how desperate he was to move to the Philippines. At one point, Lauren, even though he could marry Faith Tudok's elderly mother, to continue staying in the country and not have to go back to the U.S., Lauren's ex-wife had accused him of abandoning their 2 kids. He had 3 jobs and no savings. Lauren didn't have a roof over his head and slept with people so he could sleep at their place. Lauren had multiple partners in the U.S. while telling Faith he was her boyfriend for 6 months. Lauren contracted gonorrhea during one of his liaisons and still went to the Philippines to meet Faith. Lauren's true colors started showing to Faith when he seemed to threaten her with a butter knife and crushed cans using his head and bare hands. It wasn't a shocker when Faith dumped him, and he came back home. However, Lauren had more bad decisions to make. He married a different trans woman a couple of weeks later and divorced her within a year. Darcy didn't need to go looking for love to a different country just because a man much younger than her was giving her attention. She seemed to have low self-esteem, and any kind of attention, even from someone who clearly didn't love her, was enough to send Darcy dreaming about walking down the aisle. She never learned from her mistake when she began dating Tom Brooks. Georgi Rusev wasn't a catch either. He was keeping secrets from Darcy, such as the fact he was still married to his ex-wife. Just like Larissa, Darcy too can never be happy about how she looks. She's been under the knife several times and still uses filters to look perfect on social media. Darcy married Georgi on a whim despite their 2 broken engagements and now has hinted at a split multiple times. Darcy doesn't even seem to be embarrassed by what happened. Andre's entitlement wasn't the worst quality he's displayed on the show. It's also his anger towards Elizabeth that has received negative comments. Andre had never gotten along with his wife's family and expected Elizabeth also to mingle with them. Andre may have wanted to alienate Elizabeth from her family because they didn't approve of him. Perhaps Elizabeth's family is fortunate that they didn't have to deal with his terrible attitude daily. Devin was a mom to a toddler with a fascination for Asian men who swiped right on Jihoon Lee on Tinder, while knowing they were going to have cultural and communication problems. Devin met Jihoon in person when he came to the U.S. and became pregnant with his child. She was unsure of whether she was ever going to see him again. While Jihoon didn't ghost Devin, he could never step up as a father, despite which Devin attempted to move to South Korea twice. Devin and Jihoon spoke with a translator since she never bothered learning the language. Devin didn't try to understand his traditions. She knew Jihoon didn't have a well-paying job and pushed his buttons. Devin never took the blame for her bad decisions, as it was always Jihoon's fault, according to her. Devin has also received flack for her off-screen antics. She got into a new relationship immediately after leaving Jihoon and got pregnant again. Devin has been judged because her 3 children have 3 different fathers. Lauren, always wanting to look better than every other cast member, has made her look like a villain instead. Lauren's holier-than-thou attitude made her want to portray that her relationship with Alexei Bravarnik was without any flaws and perhaps the most successful in the franchise. Lauren made Instagram her primary source of income, but her million-plus followers aren't fans of her repetitive content. Lauren underwent a full-body liposuction and fat transfer, but called it a natural mommy makeover so it could suit her relatable cast member narrative. Lauren has also been called out for constantly teasing her move to Israel just because it's a trending topic. It shows that Lauren has no intention of moving to the country yet. Lauren has cracks in her marriage that have recently come to light. However, instead of sharing what has been affecting her, Lauren will never accept she has marriage trouble and swallow her pride. 90 Day Fiancé cast member Paul has hit an all-time low several times. Each time Paul makes it to the headlines, he surprises viewers by outdoing himself. Paul is unpredictable at best and has never been a good husband or father in his storyline. Paul could never get himself to trust his wife, Karine Stale. The couple's arguments were so disturbing that they lost their son's custody and are currently fighting a battle for it. Paul has been an attention seeker, although it's been years since he was last seen on the love on 90 Day Fiancé is one thing, but deliberately making bad decisions is what these cast members are great at. Anyone can make stupid choices that they regret later. However, some 90-Day Fiancé stars are notorious for not thinking of the consequences of making choices. Something about their nature continually prompts them to make bad choices. At that moment, their sense of reality could be distorted, but they will be living for a lifetime with the experience of a terrible decision, perhaps blaming themselves or even others when it repeats. A person can make thousands of bad decisions in every waking hour. However, when a 90-Day Fiancé star does it, the consequences are bitter. The 90-Day Fiancé star gains instant notoriety and makes the viewers question their every move, especially when these choices create a domino effect of sorts and affect every other choice they make in their relationship henceforth. Not only does this affect their growth as reality TV celebs and turn them into a possible 90-Day Fiancé villain, their relationships are also at stake. Tiffany's biggest mistake was deciding to move to South Africa to marry a man she hardly knew. The truth about Ronald Smith was revealed soon enough. He was hiding a dark past and had a gambling addiction. He had robbed his mother's house and sold her things for money. Tiffany still married Ronald and had a child with him. While marrying Ronald, Tiffany also got her son Daniel from a previous relationship involved. The little boy started calling Ronald his dad, and it broke his heart when his mom and stepfather kept having multiple breakups. Reality TV is more popular than ever. With so many to choose from, here are some of the best reality TV shows to stream or watch right now. Tiffany could have predicted that Ronald would never qualify for an American visa due to his criminal record. In 90 Day, The Single Life, Tiffany decided to end things for good and dated a man who liked her back, but again went back to Ronald. Tiffany was shamed when Daniel was shown giving her dating advice. However, Tiffany had obviously made another mistake. Ronald was two-timing her. She had to leave him when she figured out he was also involved with an ex. Hopefully, Tiffany has learned by now that another reconciliation with Ronald isn't possible. Larissa is still slammed for being an absent mother because it appears she has left her kids back in Brazil to live a life she wished for in the US. Larissa doesn't open to much about her kids on social media, but in the past, she'd mentioned getting them to America, which she never did. Larissa and Colt's relationship was filled with frequent arguments, but at times, these fights became physical, and it was always Larissa who ended up getting arrested. She could have left Colt immediately, but Larissa may have been in it for the green card. Once she got divorced, Larissa started modifying her body. She wished to look like a blow-up doll and got multiple cosmetic procedures done from head to toe. It appears the first round had cost her over $70,000. Larissa seemingly stopped only after she had a botched surgery, even though fans had warned her about the repercussions of her hobby for years. Jibri, who used to be a thriving musician in Los Angeles, spent all of his money on traveling with his Siberian girlfriend and had to go live with his parents in South Dakota in the end. Mayona wasn't a fan of the place and insisted they move to Los Angeles. Jibri was technically having financial issues due to his relationship, but Mayona didn't understand. The couple started flaunting the lavish lifestyle they didn't have on Instagram by posing with flashy cars and in designer wear until Mayona started craving it. Mayona left Jibri because he didn't have any drive in him. She claimed to have become a millionaire from selling hairpieces and may have felt like Jibri was living off her earnings. Jibri's biggest mistake was marrying Mayona, who only cared about the money in his bank balance. She seems to have dumped him as soon as she found someone else. 90 Day Fiancé's Gino also spent his savings on Jasmine Pineda. Gino was laid off from his job and was dipping into his savings, so Jasmine could while away time in her sea-facing apartment. Jasmine obviously expected Gino to treat her like a queen when she moved to the US. However, Gino was getting tired of her being reckless with the money. She was using the money meant for her wedding dress to get implants that weren't done properly. Gino did not realize that Jasmine was always going to rely on him for money. Gino had gone looking for love on a sugar daddy website and wanted to make a wife out of a sugar baby. Gino started losing interest in his wife due to their constant arguments. He didn't pay attention to Jasmine as she found a new lover in her gym and seemingly told Gino that Matt was her gay friend.